One thing that has struck me was, after my results, there were many questions that were posed to me. The most cliched and frequent was, how are you feeling? And the most funniest and ridiculous was, did you expect to top this exam? Of course, I had ready-made answers. I repeated the same thing whenever they asked the question. But one question that really stuck me, somebody was asking after the interview. It was not even like a TV interview. Just after the interview got over, somebody asked me, Anudeep, you have been associated with UPSC for so many years, and the journey was full of ups and downs. So if you were to meet your younger self, if you were to meet somebody who is starting his preparation, the same Anudeep who has started in 2011-12, what advice would you give him? And that got me thinking. And then I thought about it that day, and then I could come up with 3 things that really I would advise if I were to meet my younger self. And those 3 things are what I want to tell you who are just starting or giving this exam. First is the importance of imperfection. Too often when we start this exam, we have this notion that the first answer we write should be the perfect answer. The first essay that we write should be the perfect essay. The notes that we make should be perfect. Under this idealism of perfectionism, what happens is we are overwhelmed because it's too ideal to reach. It's something beyond our capabilities. So what usually happens is, when we look at the syllabus, when we look at others' answers, very good answers, we tend to get dejected. But please bear in mind that it is good to be imperfect. You will start imperfect, you will start nervous, but that is how the journey goes on. The first answer you will write will be the worst answer that you will ever write. The first essay that you will write will be the worst essay that you will ever write. But it is important that you write those things. Otherwise, learning will never happen. In my journey of for the past 5.5 years, I have had exams tests where I had written and I got 50 out of 250. And there were exams, of course, I got 150 out of 250. But when I look back, I think the exams where I got 50 out of 250 played a much more important role than where I got 150 out of 250. Because they tell you that what mistakes you are doing, where the deficiencies in your preparation. And that's how you improve consistently. The competition is always with the person that you were yesterday, not with the 10 lakh aspirants who are giving this exam. So always bear that in mind. And the second important thing that I would advise is the importance of the here and now. What do I mean by it? Too often in this exam, we tend to get lost in our thought process. We either are thinking about our past or fearing our future. What has happened to the one test? Why did I not put that prelims bit correctly? Or how, some incident that has happened and you regret something in the past. Or you are fearing the future. So many aspirants are giving this exam. Where will I stand? What will my rank be? How many marks will I score in optional? These are the things that generally an aspirant gets lost in thought. It is common, but you also know that they don't serve any purpose. It is usual and it is common for us to have that negativity bias. Evolution, when you read evolution, it suggests that we are born to be biased in a negative way. We tend to remember our negative incidents much more than our positive attainments or achievements. But this exam, especially in my last attempt, I had learned the importance of the current moment. That no matter my baggage of failures in the past, no matter what rank I am going to achieve, it is very important that I stick to the targets that I have for myself. It is those small things. Let's say you have a target of completing these many topics in this week. Those are the small things that ultimately matter. It's not that you will top the exam, you will be All India first, 50th, you will get 500 in GS. Those don't serve any purpose. What serves purpose is how focused you are in those 1 hour sitting at your study table. And when you look back after your success, you understand the importance of those small things. I don't know how many of you practice meditation, but in meditation, you always train your mind to pay attention to that thought. What is happening? It is impossible for a person to be angry for a day unless he is thinking about the same thought over and over. It is same with all the negativity. You are feeling negative, you are feeling down because you keep repeating that fictitious story in your mind over and over, over and over. But once you pay attention to it, that thought goes away. And what remains is just the here and now. The focus automatically comes in, and the targets that you have set for yourself, you will be able to achieve. So what matters is not that you will get into a top service or you get into a top rank. Of course, those are our ambition. But the time you spend thinking or ruminating about it is time wasted. What must be in your minds are those 3 hours, those 20 questions, those 100 bits. That's all. You do those well and your accountability ends there. Once you do that. When I walked into that exam hall, mains exam hall, I never was thinking that I should top this exam because given my baggage of failures, I could never even be allowed to think so. This was my 5th attempt and I had failed in mains thrice before. So I would never think of topping the exam. Even if I was successful previously, I would never think that going into the exam, I should be All India 1 or All India 50, whatever. It was always about those 20 questions or 100 bits, those 3 hours. That's all. If you have those small targets, it's very easy to achieve. And when I walked out of that hall on November 3rd, I was happy. Not because I knew that I will top the exam, but because I was able to stick to my target and execute it to the... So always have that small targets. These small targets, the sum of small targets will be larger than sum of its part. We read it generally. So always, whenever you are feeling negative, whenever you are feeling overwhelmed by competition or anything, think small, do small, have those small targets. These are the things that will ultimately reach, help you reach your goal. And the third and most important thing I want to advise my younger self would be the importance of accepting your failures and learning from them. It is common that in this exam, best of the best gets humbled. Somebody from IITs, prestigious institutes. It is common. And the immediate reaction that comes out of us is to blame the system, the UPSC or the examiner or your pen, anything, everything apart from yourself. It is a disastrous step in the sense that it will not only keep you from improving, because once you deny your failures, where is the scope of improvement? You always think that whatever you are doing is perfect. I had done that mistake. But in this attempt, I had accepted that I failed because I didn't deserve. And once I accepted it, I knew where to start. Okay, then I had accepted that I had failed. Now, what is the improvement that I had to do? I would definitely talk about the answer writing strategy in the Q&A session. But the point I want to make is, it is very important that you should learn from your failures. And it reminds me of one experiment, one Stanford, I think some in university, US university people have done. It's a ceramics teacher, and he has divided his class into 2 groups. For the first group, he has given the target of, I'll give you 10 days time. You make as many pots as possible. It doesn't matter what the quality is, you make as many pots as possible. And at the end of the day, at the end of 10 days, you will be evaluated by the number of pots that you make. And the second group, the second half, was told that I'll give you 10 days time, just make 1 pot, but it should be the perfect pot. You take all your time and you will be evaluated on the quality of that pot. And this experiment has been repeated over and over at many instances. And at the end of 10 days, the ceramics teacher just found the inevitable conclusion, only one conclusion. The result was that the first group made a better looking and perfect pot compared to the second group. And he immediately understood why. Because the first group were busy making and failing and learning, they would understand and then keep improving. Whereas the second group was just thinking of making that perfect pot, and when they finally made it, it was not anywhere close to the first group. So don't be overwhelmed by the syllabus. When you start writing answers, as I said, it will be a very bad answer. I can assure you that. But it's important that you write those answers. Only then you keep consistently improving. And these failures and these struggles will definitely part of your journey, whether you do it in your first attempt or fifth attempt like me. What makes difference between a candidate who succeeds and those who doesn't is people who give up in those days of struggle and frustration, they do not succeed. But people who persist despite those struggles, despite those frustration, they succeed. And when you finally succeed, and when you look back on your journey, it is these days of struggle, it is these days of frustration that will strike you as most beautiful. Thank you.